Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, I'm asking about overtime. So does the president and vice president support no taxes on overtime for workers?
So just a couple of things on that. Look, the president and this vice president has been pretty consistent on making sure that we continue to lower costs for Americans, but also at the same time make sure that we're increasing wages, and that's what we have seen. Again, the question that you're asking me is supporting overtime pay. This is something, a proposal from in the 2024 election, so I'm going to be really, really mindful. But we also can't forget what the last administration did. They eliminated overtime protections for millions of workers. The Biden-Harris administration restored overtime protections to 1 million workers, and next year we will extend protections to another 3 million workers. That means our administration is ensuring higher paychecks and more time with family for millions of Americans after the last administration took that away. And so we cannot forget that, what this administration has done and versus what the last administration has done.
So from January 2021 to now, overall prices are up 20%. Food at home is up 21%. Electricity is up about 28%. And the list goes on. Does the president believe that Americans are better off now than they were 4 years ago?
Yes, and I understand what you're asking me. I get it. There's still a lot more work to be done, and we've always said that. That's why the president is always, and the vice president are always continuing to try to figure out how do we lower those costs. And we cannot forget what happened 4 years ago. We cannot forget what this president and this vice president walked into, what they inherited from the previous administration. And so it was an economy that was a free-for-all, that was a once in a century pandemic. There was no comprehensive plan to deal with that pandemic. The president and Democrats in Congress passed the American Rescue Plan, shots in arms, money in pockets. And also when we took over, the last year of the former administration, violence, murder was at an all-time high. And we have been able to bring down violent crime at a 50-year low. And so we're able to negotiate lower drug prices. We are beating Big Pharma, something that former presidents, elected officials have been trying to do for some time. And so while we still have a lot more work to do, we do believe 4 years ago there was a pandemic. People were dying. Thousands of people were dying. There was no plan. Our economy was literally in a downfall.
One more, if I might. October 1st, if the dock workers don't get a contract, there could be a strike. Is the president, going to invoke the federal law to avoid or to
I'm not going to get into hypotheticals. I'm not going to get hypotheticals from here. All right, thanks everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.